Hi everyone, welcome back to another Sacred Union Energy Update. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. Alright, how are you guys doing after this full moon, this super full moon? For some, it might have been a triggering and tower moment full moon. Lots of releasing, lots of upgrades, and we are heading into solstice energy. I was going to channel for the full moon, but I've had a ton of readings. I am running a solstice energy special, so if you're interested, you can check that out on my website, susandonspiritual.com. Do know that it's only a limited time that I will be offering it. I think I'm going to only offer it until Saturday since I'm going to be busy next week. So if you want to book with me, go ahead and send that booking through. I will confirm and turn around, as quickly as possible. So I was going to do the full moon energy update around Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, but I think it's going to be a solstice reading because there is a lot to cover with the solstice energy and the full moon. And I feel like the full moon and the solstice is kind of like working together, working in tandem here. To really push us through the doorway, to really push us into next level, push us into turning point. If you're with me on the channel, I talk a lot about turning points, choice points, and, doorways, next levels. And that's because we're always evolving. We're always expanding into the new. So really, really trust these transformations, really trust these evolutions, really trust these expansions because it's always in layers. It's always happening in phases. And sometimes it's, short layers or short phases where it's like, okay, this cycle was quick, got through it, next level. This cycle was quick, got through it, next level. And sometimes it's more of a longer process. So just trust what you're experiencing and trust your journey and how your journey is unfolding. So I am going to be doing a sacred channeling over on my sister channel, Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, with regards to what we experienced in the full moon cycle as well as the solstice energy. And I'm getting the energy of the Lion's Gate. I've been picking up on that quite a lot. The August 8th portal. And how there's a lot of momentum being picked up throughout the rest of this season, especially this on the turning point of the solstice energy really being a shift for us, as it usually is. A lot of light influx happening onto the planet, a lot of light code support happening to really push out that dense energy and bring in that new. So if you feel like you're a new version of yourself, or if you feel like you're transforming into a new version of yourself, or if you feel like you are somehow releasing an old version of yourself, it's because you are. So allow that process. Don't resist that process. Even if you kind of want to go back into the comfort zone of the familiar, of what you knew, your new energy will not allow for it. That old comfort zone doesn't feel so comfortable anymore. So you have to allow the process of ascension, allow the process of expansion, because that is your very soul that is leading you into something new and even something better. It's hard for our ego minds to understand something better, to understand something new when it feels so unknown. When our ego is really used to the old, when our ego is really used to the comfortable. But that's where faith and intuition and trust and connection to yourself and to God's source is really, really important. So we're going to be channeling that energy. I'm going to share some of my own personal experiences, downloads, understanding, especially when it comes to sacred partnership and what I've learned this past week, what I've experienced. I'm going to be sharing that over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections. That will be up by the weekend. I'm not sure exactly when I'll be able to channel it, but it will be up by the weekend, so make sure that you are staying tuned there. I'm also going to be having a channeling around money wounds, money blocks. We're going to have a light language transmission, and I was guided to do a meditation on that. So as soon as I have all three of those things ready, I'll be posting that on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections as well. So make sure that you're staying tuned to both of my channels. All right, so this energy, I'm not going to recap everything that I've been experiencing. Again, I'm going to save that for the sacred channeling. But this energy has been really interesting and really transformative for both the masculine and the feminine. For the masculine, it really feels like they've been pushed. And it doesn't really feel like a shove from the universe. It feels, well, it depends on what level of resistance they've been in, but it really feels like it's encouragement. divine encouragement is what I'm hearing. Whereas the divine feminine has felt like she's been in a little bit of a hermit energy, really called to go within. You might not have been feeling well. I myself was so sick last weekend, but my crown chakra has opened up to like a new level. And I'm really just enjoying that connection now. I've gotten so much understanding, so much clarity. Even though there's a lot of confusion around my own personal journey. This journey, especially when you have these soul connections in play, it can be really confusing. Even for me, I've been doing this for, 5 years now, even more if you count my spiritual awakening and everything I experienced before I was activated to ascension with my counterpart. It can be really confusing, especially when you're dealing with another person, especially when you're dealing with energy, and what that feels like and what that means and how it relays in the 3D, in the physical form. But there's a lot of trust that is being called for right now. There's a lot of just presence and taking the next step. For the divine masculines, I feel as if they are being asked to take action, but not impulsive action, not distorted action. They are being asked to really go deep within themselves and clear out old energy, clear out that impulsive, rash, disconnected energy. And disconnected, they're saying, is the highlighted word here, because they were really disconnected from themselves. And that has to do with self-worth issues. They didn't value themselves. They didn't see themselves in a place of love. They didn't recognize their own sovereignty. They didn't recognize their own divinity. And when I'm saying sovereignty and divinity, I'm not talking about control. I'm not talking about corrupted power. I'm talking about self-empowerment. I'm talking about authority over yourself, which means that you recognize and take accountability and responsibility for your actions, your behaviors, and your choices. That is self-authority. That is self-empowerment. That is the only true power that you have. But that is everything. Because the more that you are connected to yourself in that self-empowerment, the more you are recognizing the feeling of peace that comes with it, that you can't control anybody else, that in truth, nobody else can control you, that you can only have authority over yourself. The choices that you make, how do you respond, how do you react, how you hold yourself accountable, how you're responsible for yourself, how you lead your life, how you direct yourself, your own integrity and dignity. And I feel like divine masculines are really going deep within their shadow sides and seeing where they were not in that energy. And that could be bringing up a lot of tower moments for them. Conversely, the divine feminines, I feel, have been really feeling the pull from their masculines. But they are standing in their integrity. They're standing in their sovereignty. They're saying, as much as I love you, I recognize that you are on your own journey as much as I am on my own. And so the codependency has really been healed, especially the codependency, the need for the divine feminine to be in partnership or relationship with her counterpart, because she's in a place where she is feeling that union within herself. And as she feels that union within herself, she is recognizing that she's always in union with her counterpart, that there is no separation, that even though they might not be in physical communication or partnership or relationship as she desires, which is her ultimate desire, which is fair, which is fine. You don't have to deny yourself your wants. You don't have to deny yourself your desires, but also recognizing where you are not going to put up with distorted behavior anymore, because you're not the wounded aspect that was attracted to the wounded aspect of your partner. You are leveled up into a new energy where you are not dishonoring yourself. You are not disrespecting yourself. You are not abandoning, betraying, or neglecting yourself or rejecting yourself. And as such, you will not tolerate or accept that behavior from anybody in your life, least of all your divine counterpart. And so you're in a place of self-empowerment. You're in a place of sovereignty, loving your counterpart unconditionally, but also saying, you know what, I recognize that you have your own journey to go on. I recognize that you have your own path of self-discovery, and someday we will meet. And I'm not saying someday as in like far off into the future. It's all about alignment. It's all about divine timing. And divine timing is simply energetic alignment. So when you are in that place of unconditional love, you feel them in your heart, but you're also saying, okay, I hold that space for you in my heart, not in a place of waiting, not in a place of settling, not in a place of putting my life on hold. I am going to continue on with my journey. I am going to, just as you are continuing with yours. It's this energy here. We channeled this a long time ago, where the divine masculine and the divine feminine are on the same frequency, on the same thread, so to speak. But it just seems like they are physically apart. It just seems like they are separated, but they're not, because they're on the same circle. They're on the same thread here. But then when they're on the same wave, well, they're on the same thread. They're on the same frequency. But in the physical, when they meet, it's because they are, how do I put this in layman's terms? They are matched. They are matched. Where divine masculine has gone through their journey, their ascension, divine feminine has gone through her ascension, and so they are at the same place. They're on the same page. But you and your partner are doing this essentially together. Even if it doesn't look it, you are doing this together. So divine feminine saying, you know what, I'm just going to keep on my journey, on my sacred path, recognizing that you are on yours. Honoring your path, accepting your path, and recognizing that I am a match to conscious masculine energy, universal conscious masculine energy. That's her wholeness. That's her union within herself. Because she's healed the masculine, she's healed the feminine within herself. And so she has come into that place of balance, that place of wholeness, that place of union, which feels like peace, which feels like joy. Doesn't mean that you don't have emotions. It doesn't mean that you don't have periods of confusion or ego. It just means that you are aware and you're able to alchemize those energies, those lower vibrational energies whenever they come up. Divine masculine is heading there. They are going through their own ascension process, just like you did, divine feminine. But you do not hold yourself back. And divine feminine is recognizing the path that I have to travel might look different than my divine masculine at this time, but that's for their benefit. Just as they had let you go through your ascension, you are trusting that they're going through theirs, which can be very, very difficult in the 3D, especially when you're seeing things that seem like illusion. It might seem like it is the same old energy that the divine masculine is in. They might be going back to old relationships. They might be going back to old addictions, to old behaviors, to old patterns, to old mindsets that just aren't healthy. And you know that they're not healthy, but again, divine feminines, that's not for you to heal, that's not for you to fix, that's for their ascension journey. That's for their awareness, for them to shift. Your job is just to continue your ascension. Your job is just to continue on your sacred path and to align with the energies that come in to match that, because your journey continues. It always continues. Divine masculines are journeying on in their way, and it doesn't mean that the connection is lost. It doesn't mean that the love is lost. It just means that you are on your journey as it needs to look in your 3D experience. Energetically, you're still aligned. It doesn't look like that, but you're still aligned. But you have to continue on in your 3D experience for your life, for your journey. So a lot of that reversal energy that it feels like for the divine masculines is really kind of like self-destructive energy, self-sabotage energy. But I feel like they go back to that. Remember when I said... there we go. Remember when I said that the divine masculine kind of is revisiting their comfort zone, revisiting that old energy, but they're a new energy, and they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right anymore. Well, that's that self-sabotage energy. That's that self-destructive energy. And sometimes I have to go back to that in order to move forward. And it doesn't quite make sense what you're seeing in the 3D, especially for the divine feminines. For the divine feminines, it might even feel repulsive. It might even feel like, I don't even want this divine masculine anymore. It's because it doesn't look like they're aligned to you. It's because it doesn't feel like they're aligned to you, especially in those old energies, because you have ascended so much, because you have shifted so much and transformed so much in your frequency, and they're not aligned to you in the 3D. So that's where you just hold that space in your heart. Again, holding space is not waiting. It is not settling. It is not holding yourself back. But it is just holding that unconditional love for your counterpart and allowing yourself to continue forward and allowing your counterpart to experience whatever it is that they need to experience on their ascension journey. For many of them, this is divine protection. For many of you, I should say, this is divine protection in a way, because as they're going through this ascension, they're not projecting that onto you. That's repeating and co-creating an energy of karma again. You've cleared the karma with each other. That's part of why this separation, so to speak, is occurring. It's because your partner is undergoing their massive ascension. They've been going through this process little by little, but this is the big push. This is the big shift. And so part of this energy is, or this reason is divine protection, so that they don't project their wounding, their pain, their trauma that's coming up, their shadows that's coming up, to be looked at, to be released, to be aware of and released for the divine masculine, so that they don't project that onto you, and thus you get engaged in another round in an old energy. So this is divine protection for you both, and your divine counterpart, higher self, really understands this. You might not understand it in the 3D. Again, the 3D always looks a little bit convoluted because the 3D is so dense with old conditioning, old patterns, old beliefs, old templates, old programs, and very thick with illusions. But the more you are releasing, the more you are just, continuing on your path, the more you recognize the energetics of it all and how it comes into play. So I hope that makes sense. It's so hard to articulate. It's so hard to articulate energy sometimes. I do my best, but we are going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to have some anecdotes from my own journey to try to make sense of it for you guys over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connection, so make sure that you're checking that out. All right, so let's see what is going on right now for the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine. All right, Divine Masculine, please. Divine Masculine. Power. Sovereignty. I'm going to take that as well because it goes hand in hand, but we're going to talk about the Divine Feminine. Actually, I feel like this is Divine Feminine energy. I'm going to put this in the middle because I feel like that's both of you. We'll talk about how that relays in a second. Divine Feminine, please. Divine Feminine. And peace. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. Like, this is exactly what I was just channeling here. So it's interesting here. We have power and we have peace, and peace is its own power. Remember that. Peace is its own power. So for the Divine Masculine, you see how she looks a little bit shocked. I'm going to hold that up there so you can see it. You see how she looks a little bit shocked? At least that looks like it to me as I'm channeling. I feel like Divine Masculine is starting to understand what power truly is. It's not the patriarchal energy of corrupt power as we've known it. It is not forceful. It is not demeaning. It is not, just for lack of a better word, corrupt. You guys know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, the toxic masculine energy and the patriarchy and what that has really created as far as the imbalance within ourselves, not just with other people, but within ourselves as well. And what that means, how that really suppressed our true power. Power is peace. I think I just said that. Power is peace. Power is expression. Power is you taking responsibility for yourself, awareness of yourself, accountability for yourself. Power is your ability to create by making choices in your highest self, in your best interest. From your higher self, really integrating that energy from the place of love, from the heart space and not the ego, from abundance versus lack, from limitlessness versus limiting energies. Power is your own sovereignty. Power is your own authority. Power is self-empowerment as a whole. And so I feel like the Divine Masculines are really beginning to understand where they had given their power away and how they can take their power back. Power is not taken back by force. Power is not taken back by active energy. Power is taken back by how you heal, by how you create new patterns, by how you engage differently in the energy of love. And love isn't just, the energy of, how do I say this? Love isn't just one thing. Love is love for yourself. Love is love for others. Love is how you be of service to others. Love is how you give. Love is also how you receive. Love is how you behave. Love is the habits that you engage in. Love is how you nurture yourself. Love is how you put in the effort for others and consider others. All of that is love. Love is respect. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Spirit, please stop me. I could go on and on. But they're really beginning to understand what power is versus the contrast of what they've experienced that power is not. And they're beginning to understand how to claim that power for themselves, how to take that power back for themselves. And again, it's not taking power back in like a forceful way. It's just taking power back in a this is how I want to shift my life. This is how I want to change myself. This is who I want to be. That's their power. That's what they're beginning to recognize. This is who I want to be. The best version of myself, in my integrity, in my peace, in my love for others, in my love for myself, taking care of myself so that I can be of service to others. That's where they're beginning to understand their power truly lies. Divine Masculine is an amazing energy. It is conscious. It is consistent. It is just beautifully authoritative as a leader. I always use King Arthur as the legend of King Arthur as an example of masculine energy or conscious masculine energy, because King Arthur was a kind, compassionate leader in the legends. He rode out to battle, didn't force others to go. He was a leader. He showed up. He showed you how it was done. It's the energy of, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I embody that energy. Divine Masculine is a disciplined energy. They are very practical minded. They are very logical and rational, which is a beautiful energy in its own right, but also listening to their heart. They're really in balance and in tune and honoring the feminine energy, both the outwardly embodied feminine, as in, females or people, feminine energy, as well as the inner feminine, trusting their heart, trusting the wisdom. When you think about King Arthur and Merlin, Merlin was teaching King Arthur how to trust his intuition, how to trust his own power, how to trust his own magic. Magic, in the metaphorical sense too. So it's really beautiful energy of balance. And the masculine is really the structure in which the divine feminine energy can flow. It's like, I heard this saying once, this does not come from my spirit guides, obviously it did from some way, but I heard this, that the masculine is like the banks of a river, and the feminine is the water itself. And if there's just the water, without the banks, without that structure, it just overflows and it goes everywhere and it creates destruction. But the masculine is the discipline. The masculine is the structure, the safety, the security with which the feminine energy can really beautifully flow and express herself. And you have both of those energies within, and the divine masculine is truly beginning to understand that, see that, have clarity around that, and embrace and embody that. What I love about the feminine energy over here is this energy of peace. She is embodying that peace. She has really come to a place where she's at peace with her journey, not seeking, not reaching, not lacking anything. She's very, very present in herself. And in that presence, she's just finding peace and joy and love for herself and her journey, and even her counterpart. Recognizing that unconditional love for her counterpart, but while also being accepting of where they are on the journey, especially when it comes to the physical manifestation of that, the physical form of that. So she is just in this energy of peace. I'm also getting the word renewal. So I feel like she is going through this rebirth process. I feel like the masculines are going through a rebirth process, but it's a little bit heavier and denser for them because of what they're releasing. What they're releasing is really dense energy. They're releasing a lot of trauma. They're releasing a lot of pain. They're releasing a lot of patterns. So they're doing like some heavy shadow work, necessary, but heavy shadow work. The divine feminine, she's been through this. She has been through this. It has. Divine masculines, if you think that the divine feminine has not been through what you've been through, you've got another thing coming. They have been through it. And that's where the divine feminine leads. And that's where the masculine has to honor the feminine and really see the feminine. She's been through this. She can guide. She can lead. She is leading the connection energetically in that way. She's been through it. That's where her wisdom is coming through. And that's where the masculine can honor and trust the feminine. Either outwardly or within the self. So divine feminines, you have been through it. My goodness. So you know exactly what the divine masculine is experiencing, and that's where you have that compassion, but you're also at peace because you're like, yeah, I've been there. Don't have to do it again because I've been there. At the same time, you're going through your own rebirth and renewal, but just in higher layers and higher frequencies that are bringing in more peace, more joy, because you've been releasing all of that dense energy because you've done the deep shadow work. And so now it's like you are just in a higher place, even though you're releasing, even though you're going through rebirth. It's just higher levels of consciousness now. You're moving through dimensions, is what I'm hearing. You're moving through dimensions of consciousness. Into higher levels of rebirth through this rebirth process. So through this ascension process, I should say. So it's just more and more peace and love and joy coming in. And that's the path that you need to walk now, because you've been through the triggered ascension process. Now it's time to go through the higher heart ascension process, as I like to call it. So, divine feminines, allow yourself to embrace the joy of this journey. It's almost like what I'm hearing is like the hard part is over. Doesn't mean you're not going to experience challenges. It doesn't mean you're not going to experience obstacles. But you know how to alchemize that now. You know how to transcend that. You know how to transmute those energies. You know how to be in your own self-mastery. I love that the sovereignty card came out because I feel like this is the energy between you guys. Not just like between you as far as connection, but this is the shared energy. You see how we have peace? You see how we have power? And you know how I said that peace is your power? That's the sovereign energy. You guys are both mirroring each other at a little bit of a different place on your journey, but exactly where you need to be. Exactly where you need to be, and trust that and honor that. Even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable right now, this is all part of the journey. This is all part of you recognizing your sovereignty as a soul. This is all of you breaking free from everything that you thought you were, everything you thought that you needed to be, every expectation, every dependency. This is you just reclaiming yourself in that peace, in that power. So this is really a unifying energy that's coming through here. I love that. That's really beautiful. Okay. Whew. I love when the channeling gets intense. It gets deep. All right. What is the divine masculine experiencing when it comes to this connection? This feels like big energy, and it's felt like big energy all of June, even all of May. Like the energy, like I keep saying, momentum, 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 it keeps picking up. That's what it feels like. It feels like the energy just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but in a bolder way, in a positive way, not in a heavy way, not in a fearful way, in a transformative way. And it's because there is so much energy that's shifting and transforming in a positive way. It might not always look like it on the 3D, but that's the illusion. And I don't want to negate what the 3D looks like. You know, don't negate or bypass anything. Allow yourself to sit with the triggers. Allow yourself to sit with what you're being shown. Allow yourself to feel everything that you need to feel, even if it's painful, even if it's uncomfortable. For myself, I really had to allow myself to feel the heartbreak that I had experienced within my connection that I didn't even realize was still there. That's part of what was coming up with this full moon, allowing myself to feel the sadness, the disappointment, and the heartbreak that I had experienced. For the most part, I had moved through that, but there was still some stuff in the subconscious that needed to come up, and I wasn't allowed to bypass it. I had to allow myself to experience it, even though I could understand and see the bigger picture of it. My human self had to feel it in order to release it. I had to allow myself to acknowledge it in order to fully release it. Even though I was having this understanding of why it was occurring energetically, I'm still human. I'm still having a human experience. We cannot bypass the human experience. We are not meant to. We are meant to bridge the spiritual and the human experience, to bring that spiritual experience to our human form. And that does not mean bypassing anything that we experience in our human form. So allow yourself to feel anything that's coming up. Allow yourself to release that. Allow yourself to sit with and understand and even embrace for a moment everything that you're feeling, because that in itself is healing. Divine masculines, please. Divine masculines, how are they feeling with regards to their divine feminine and this connection? How is the divine masculine feeling? I'm going to use this deck. This has been energetically charged today, so we're going to use this deck. Yeah, this feels better. Okay. Divine masculines, how are you feeling about this connection? The Sun, hopeful. There's a sense of hope that's coming through. As a divine feminine, I'm kind of looking at the divine masculine like, how are you feeling hopeful? But I feel like this is really internal for the divine masculines. Because I'm looking at the divine feminine like, she's detached her energy. She's kind of like, see you later, I'm moving on. This isn't for me anymore. In a way, like in the 3D. And I'm like, how are you feeling hopeful? But I feel like divine masculine's higher self is laughing, and they're like, well, well, because I can feel you too. I can feel you too. It's funny. Divine masculine. Oh, there it is. 5 of Cups. All right. Divine masculine, how are they feeling about this connection? 6 of Swords. Okay, I got it. They are feeling hopeful because they want to hold on to that hope. There is such a deep-seated love for their divine feminine that they had not been able to express because they didn't have that love for themselves, or they didn't acknowledge that love for themselves. It was so suppressed within themselves that when they looked at their divine masculine, all they felt were worth issues. Like they felt worthless. They felt incapable of this connection. They felt incapable within themselves and their own lives. And so it's almost like, what I'm hearing is, it was almost like you were too good to be true. Like you were my dream and you were too good to be true. And so they really pushed the connection away, even though they wanted to come towards it. And there might have been times when they came towards it, but then they backed off because energetically it felt like it was too much. Divine feminines, you did this in your own way, a little bit differently. It's a little bit different for the feminines, but we're talking about the masculines here. They really, divine feminines, because you had that bigger picture, because you could understand this connection and the deep level of love and the soul connection, you just wanted to run towards your masculine, but you had your own healing and your own triggers and your own wounding that you had to heal yourself. Divine masculines, they were triggered, but they didn't know how to heal. They didn't know what the triggers were. They didn't understand it. They didn't have that conscious awareness. Now they're having that conscious awareness of what the soul connection is, and especially they're understanding the love that they feel for their divine feminines. Before, it was just like an influx of emotion, and it was so much and so charged, and it was like, this is too much. And it's almost like they needed to retreat. because it was too much and they didn't consciously understand it. Well, now they're beginning to open up and understand it and receive a lot of clarity around what this connection has meant to them, what their divine feminine has meant to them, and it's like this leading hope for them. It's like this hope is leading them through their ascension. With the Five of Cups here, I feel like there is this feeling of remorse. There is this feeling of regret as far as how they had treated or mistreated the connection. But a lot of it was due to lack of awareness. And I feel like even though there's this heaviness around it, it doesn't feel so heavy like it's weighing them down. But it's almost like, give me a minute. Let me see how I can articulate this. Please, Spirit, bring it through clearly. It's almost like even though they don't know how to move forward in righting the wrongs, they feel this spark of hope that is leading them forward. And I feel like with the Six of Swords here too, I feel like the Divine Masculine is learning how to just let their heart guide them now. They're learning how to take that next step, to go one step at a time rather than charging forward or rather than retreating backwards. They're learning how to be patient. Not patient in that there is inaction, but patient with the action, by which I mean calmer steps. This Six of Swords is the energy of moving into calmer waters, more peaceful waters, and that's happening with their healing. It's like this. It's like gaining the courage, gaining the strength, gaining the awareness, recognizing the love, and letting that love really guide them. And the more they do that, the further along they go in their ascension. And the further along they go in their ascension, the more they are taking action towards this connection. This could be communication, this could be heart-to-heart conversations and emotional expression, which is very necessary. This could be higher levels of commitment, higher levels of engagement. This could be taking the next step in your relationship. It's going to look a little bit different for everybody because everybody's path looks a little bit different. And this is a collective reading. But whatever this is action from a more mature place. This is action from a more conscious place. Divine Masculines were really operating in the unconscious before. And by unconscious, I mean they were really operating from the ego. They might not have been aware of it, that it was ego. They might not have been aware of the distortions, but there was a lot of ego. There was a lot of overthinking, a lot of wounded energy, a lot of projection. Now they're becoming aware, taking accountability, taking responsibility, again, being that divine masculine energy, being that conscious, mature masculine energy, spiritually mature too, so they might have had some spiritual ego as well. So what's really happening is, even though it feels like a long road for them, remember that it's all alignment. And the less they resist, the less they hold themselves back from this change and from this transformation, the more they desire this change for themselves and for their life, the more the universe is going to bring in opportunities for them to shift, for them to change. And it's going to lead to more prosperity. I'm just hearing the word prosperous. It's going to lead to more prosperity for them. It's going to lead to more abundance for them, because then they're going to be standing in their authenticity. They're going to be standing in their integrity. They're going to be standing in their heart space. I'm hearing with their love light on. With their love light on. And the more they're doing that, the more they are in alignment with their higher self. And that's what Ascension is all about. It's about embodying the higher self. And so that is kind of like the hope that they are carrying with them. It's their higher self that is truly guiding them forward. And the more they're in alignment with that, it's like the quicker and easier this ascension journey is going to be for them. But as long as they release that stubborn energy, as long as they release that pride, as long as they release that resistance, it's going to feel more harmonious for them. And moving towards the connection, I don't want to leave without saying that's what this energy is all about. It's not only Divine Masculine having a better, happier, healthier life for themselves, the best life for themselves, which is a natural occurrence when you're going through ascension. It's just natural. As you're ascending into higher consciousness, like, you shift dimensions. And as you shift dimensions, life becomes more magical, more abundant, more flowing, because you're in alignment. It doesn't get worse. It gets better because you're doing the healing, because you're doing the transformation. So part of that transformation and part of that path is with the connection. And so I feel like part of them wanting their best and highest outcome and their best and highest life, and really working towards that, desiring that for themselves, has them desiring the connection with the Divine Feminine. They're recognizing the connection with the Divine Feminine, what she means to him, and what that means for their life. Not in a distorted way of, look what the Divine Feminine can do for me. Not in a, I'm going to take advantage of the Divine Feminine, but in a partnership, in equality, in a harmonious connection. I water you and you water me. And look, the magic that we create when we fully embrace and love each other. But it only comes from the Divine Masculine that embraces, acknowledges, is aware of, and transforms their own shadows. Divine Feminine, how are you feeling about the connection and your Divine Masculine? Divine Feminine, how are you feeling about your Divine Masculine? Page of Pentacles. Two more cards, please. Ace of Cups. One more card, please, Spirit. One more card. And the Six of Pentacles. Divine Feminines, with the wheel here, the world here, I feel like you have closed out a cycle within yourself. Not just within yourself, but within the connection as well. You've really shut the door in the past in many ways, many energetic ways, maybe even in the physical in some ways. I feel like the Ace of Cups is at the forefront of the spread here. I feel like you have really entered into a place where you are just loving yourself so much, where you are choosing yourself. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the Sacred Channeling over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections in the next few days. What it really means to choose yourself, what it really means to honor yourself, what it really means to love yourself. And I feel like that's where you are. And because you're loving yourself so much in a way that you hadn't before. This is not selfish love. This is not egotistical love. This is just a place where you are honoring yourself. And as you're honoring yourself, you're honoring and feeling your connection to God's source and your connection to all. And because of that feeling of wholeness, because of that love that is just so present in your heart, you're feeling that love for your counterpart. If you had experienced pain and heartbreak, if you had experienced disappointment, if you had experienced anger, you've allowed yourself to feel everything that you needed to feel, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But you've also allowed yourself to transmute that. You've also allowed yourself to come back to this place of love. Allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions that you need to feel, especially with whatever you experienced in your physical connection. But you've also recognized energetically the energy of love because you are loving yourself. And you're saying, you know what? I can see how this had taught me. I can see how this experience really lifted me into a higher version of myself, or forced me to face myself and shift into a higher version of myself. Divine Masculines, I'm telling you, the Divine Feminines have been through this too. But they took it as an opportunity, partly because they were so aware and they were always conscious of what it would take to transform and shift. So they allowed themselves to transform and shift, and that really took diving into the deepest aspects of themselves, the shadows and the mirrors that they did not want to face too, the grief, the pain, the trauma that really came up. They faced it, they transmuted it, and still are in many ways. You know, it doesn't end. God. I can hear you guys saying, oh my God, it doesn't end. It doesn't end as far as there are always going to be layers. There's always going to be, maybe not always, I don't want to use that term, but there are layers. So it's not like healing is a journey, healing is a process, and that's not just healing, it's remembering. So that you're going through this process of remembering who you truly are, that you're not the pain, that you're not the patterns, that you're not the trauma. And that's where you heal, through that awareness, through that recognition that you are more. That you are spirit, that you are limitless, and that energy. So what's really happening is divine feminine is in such a place of love that she is just allowing herself to love her masculine unconditionally. Even if she doesn't, in her ego mind, want to. Even if in her physical world, she's just like, you know what, stay away. Until you are, emotionally mature, until you can do this, until you can do that, just stay away. Even though she's like that, in her heart, she really feels that connection. She really feels that love. And that's what unconditional love truly is. It's not accepting poor behavior. You do not accept that poor behavior in the physical, but that doesn't mean that the connection is shot. It doesn't mean that the connection is gone. It doesn't mean that the love isn't there. It just means that you're having healthy boundaries. It means that you're honoring yourself. It means that you are no longer going to abandon yourself. You're no longer going to betray yourself for another person's comfort. It just means that you are going to love yourself and love others, but that doesn't mean that you need to engage. So it's a very interesting energy for the divine feminine. So she is in this place where she is loving and feeling her connection with her divine counterpart. But it's an emotional connection. Well, I don't want to say it's an emotional connection. I don't want to give it the wrong idea. It's an energetic connection, but she's feeling the emotions of it. And she's feeling the energy of her divine counterpart. But that doesn't mean that she necessarily needs or wants to engage in the physical. She's like, I'm okay. You're on your journey and I'm on my journey. And, we'll see what happens. We'll just let this unfold. But she's just in this place of, it needs to be equal. It needs to be mutual. It needs to be balanced. It was not balanced. So she's in this place of loving. She has a lot of clarity around the connection, or she's receiving a lot of clarity around the connection, or at the very least, she's receiving a lot of clarity around herself. She's receiving a lot of clarity around her journey. She's receiving a lot of clarity around how she's feeling, and her path forward, her path in life, and how she needs to keep going on her path, and what that means. That could be career, that could be other soul connections, soul family, friendships, partnerships. It could be, traveling. It could be home life changes. Whatever this is, she's recognizing that she is still creating. She still has foundations that she is building. And so she's still pursuing that. She's feeling the energetic connection of her counterpart, but she's like, it has to be balanced. It has to be balanced. This was unfairly unbalanced before. There was this energy of beggar. The Six of Pentacles can sometimes be an energy of like a beggar. And it kind of feels like that, like the divine masculine felt to her like she was just taking and taking and taking when she needed to receive. That was an important lesson for the divine feminine. She needed to open up herself to receiving. She needed to learn how to receive. And now that she has done that, now that she's allowed herself to say, hey, wait a minute, I need to receive too, and I need to be able to recognize my needs that need to be met, to express my needs and have my needs met, to allow myself to receive too, rather than just overgiving and overgiving and overgiving, she's recognizing that need for balance and harmony. I feel like with the Page of Pentacles here, I feel like she feels like the masculine might still be in a little bit of an immature energy. It feels like she might see the divine masculine as just getting started on their journey. He's, in her eyes, at the very least, he's not quite that king energy. He doesn't quite feel entirely stable. I feel like she can understand and respect and love and believe in, his journey, and that he is trying, that he is putting the effort. That is not to negate what the masculine is going through. That is not to negate what the masculine is doing. But he's just not he's just not where she wants him to be or where she needs him to be for that equal reciprocity. It's like he's coming in with this big old pentacle, and she's like, well, wait a minute. She's like, it's like, I can appreciate the effort, but that's not what I need right now. That's not what I need. It's almost like it's not enough. It feels still like a breadcrumb. It might feel like a lot to the divine masculine, who had only been capable of that before, but that's where the masculine has to do the work. That's where the masculine has to fill up their cup on love, so that it's not a breadcrumb, so that it's not minimal effort, so that's not minimal. So divine feminine, I feel like she is, I don't feel like she's guarded. I don't feel like she's shut down. I feel like she's just in this place of, I know what I can't settle for anymore. I know what I need. I know what I want. It's very compassionate too. So I know that this might trigger some masculines who are listening, but it's a very compassionate energy. It's just asking the masculine to want more for themselves, rather than just the bare minimum, to dream bigger, to be in their integrity, to be in their dignity, to want more for themselves. That's what the divine feminine is truly saying. And when she's seeing him in his page of pentacles energy, she's saying, I know you're capable of more. I know, I see you as you really are. I see you as your soul self. I know that you're capable of more. So rise up and do the work and be capable of more. That's what this energy is. It's very loving and very compassionate. It's not that she's denying the masculine. It's that she's just saying, I see you. I've always seen you. I've always seen your power. I've always seen your love. I've always seen your heart. I've always seen your soul. I know what you are truly capable of. So now it's your job to do the journey, to go through your ascension process and really rise up to that and want that for yourself. Divine feminine really wants her masculine to want that for himself, because that's when you align. That's when you meet. That's when you match in frequency. It's when you don't need something from the other. It's that garden metaphor that I keep bringing forth. You guys have that same garden. You're cultivating the same garden. But if you're focused on one corner and divine masculines are focused on the other, and if one person isn't nurturing the garden, well, it's not a full blooming garden. Right? So if you're doing your work and the divine masculine is really doing theirs, then you take a step back together, and I just see a couple with their arms around each other saying, look what we've created. Look what you created with this beautiful part of your garden you created, and look at this beautiful part of my garden I created, and look what we've made together. That's the Trinity energy. That's the third energy, that creation energy. Look at the magic that you create together when you both do the work and you fully align in your highest frequency, in your highest embodiment. So it's not a criticism of the masculine that she is seeing him kind of in this younger or immature energy. She can understand and appreciate that he is going through his ascension, that it's difficult for him, that he is trying. But it's this energy of, I see you and I respect you, but I'm wanting a king. I'm wanting a king. So it's a lot of self-love for her. It's a lot of self-love for her, and that was a really difficult choice for her to choose herself. But by her choosing herself fully, she's asking the masculine to choose himself fully. And that's a really beautiful and compassionate energy to be in. Wanting him to choose himself and be his best self. Okay. Whew, that is, I want to cry. That is really powerful stuff. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to get one of these cards. And then we're going to end with messages. Divine masculine, please. What do we need to know with regards to the divine masculine? Oh. Maturity. Oh, man. Holy cow. I feel like the divine masculine is responding to the divine feminine and saying, I am trying. I am trying. And not just trying as in like nonchalantly. I feel like he is having this awakening. He is having this awareness of, I need to be better. I need to do better. Not just for my connection, not just for my divine feminine. Although I feel like she's a real influence over him in a positive way. Like she's really, you know, kind of like lighting a fire under his ass. because the love that he feels for her is so strong, and he doesn't want to lose that. Not in like a codependent way, but in a feeling the connection kind of way. And because of that, he's like, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I feel like this masculine is kind of going into hermit mode, or will be going into a little bit of a hermit mode, in order to contemplate this, in order to do his inner work. I'm just getting a lot of mental activity, not mental as in ego chatter, but really receiving insight, really receiving downloads, and really going deep within the self to understand, oh my gosh, this is how I behaved. This is how I treated other people. This is how I treated myself. And this is how it played out in my life in like a destructive way. And so now he's like thinking about, how can I make different choices? How can I do better? How can I humble myself? How can I mature myself? How can I stand in my integrity and my dignity? How can I be my best self? It's a little bit overwhelming for him, but Spirit is really here supporting him, and all he needs to do is really just keep turning to God's source, to the universe, whatever you want to call it. Keep turning to a spirit team. Not in a really making sure that he's attuned to spirit in the highest sense, in the highest energy. I always do protection like through the Holy Spirit, connected to God's source, that kind of energy, to make sure that I'm fully aligned to God's source. That's what I feel like they're doing. I feel like they're really aligning to the connection that they have with God's source, and they might actually be listening to tarot readings. They might be doing some more spiritual studies to really understand themselves. They might be doing some self-development work. They might be doing like some, doing like Myers-Briggs or Enneagram or human design to try to understand their patterns and why they've been the way they are. They might be doing therapy with regards to, trauma and responses, understanding attachment theory. They might be going to shamans. They might be going to counselors. They might be going to spiritual mentors. A number of different ways. This divine masculine is really wanting to work on themselves, because it's almost like, I think it's Brene Brown who said, transformation only happens when you get tired of your own bullshit. I feel like this divine masculine has just been brought to their knees so many times, and it's like, it's humbled them, and it's like, this keeps happening in my life, this keeps happening in my life, this keeps happening in my life, and they're realizing, this is what Spirit brought to me before. It's like, am I the drama? Am I the drama? And it's like, they're beginning to realize the role that they've played, the choices that they've made. And it's really humbling them, and they're really becoming aware of it and wanting to make different choices. Now, being so tired of the bullshit, that they're wanting to transform themselves. They're really getting this level of awareness and maturity. So I really feel like he's responding to her, which is freaking amazing. Okay, Divine Feminines. Oh, God. Divine Feminines, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to this? Divine Feminines, please. Just one card. What do you have to say? What do you have to say? This one wanted to come out. Sexuality. I feel like this is just her, just almost like she's saying, I see you, I recognize you, but she's just in her power. Remember, sexuality is creation energy. And I feel like this is her just standing in her power and standing in her sensuality, standing in her creative energy. Her self-empowerment. It's almost like she's like, okay, like, I love that you're doing the work, and I respect that, and I believe in it, and I honor it, and I hold space for it. And I'm going to be here just, kind of flowing with it, flowing with my path, flowing with my energy here. And between you guys, there is a ton of love. I feel like there's something else for the Divine Feminines. What else did you want to say, Divine Feminine? What else did you need to say? What else did you want to say, Divine Feminines? Let's move to the messages here. We're going to start with the Divine Feminine because I feel like she wants to say something to the Divine Masculine here. Divine Feminine, what do you want to say to the Divine Masculine? Divine Feminine. Oh, okay, one card. Let's not get hasty. Divine Feminine, what do you want to say to the Divine Feminine? You stole my heart. There's this energy of how do I put this? There's this energy of annoyance. There's this energy of irritants from the Divine Feminine right now. It's like, you stole my heart, like, you bastard, that kind of thing. I feel like it's not angry, it's not frustrated, it's almost like playful, like, you bastard, you stole my heart. I feel like Divine Feminine is still working through a lot of emotions as she's letting go of the past. But I feel like she's also like playfully reminding him in a play. I feel like she has her boundaries up, but she's playfully reminding him that she still loves him. Like, you bastard, like, you stole my heart, like, you have my heart. Like, she's playfully reminding him, like, she's annoyed by this, she's acting annoyed, but she's reminding him that she still loves him, and she still feels this connection. Divine Masculine, what do you want to say to the Feminine? I'm learning to trust again, and we're under the same sky. Feel me there. He's saying, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm just learning to trust myself. I'm learning to trust this connection. I'm learning to trust love. I'm learning about myself for the first time ever. I'm going through my ascension. I'm going through my transformation. This is not easy for me, and I'm sorry that I've ever hurt you. I'm sorry that I projected all of that pain, all of my pain onto you. I feel like he's saying, I know how much you've always loved me, and I've loved you just the same. I just haven't been able to express it because I haven't been able to understand it. I've been trying to understand it from a mind sense, and I haven't allowed myself to open up my heart and feel it within my heart. And now that I'm opening up my heart and feeling it within my heart, it's a little bit overwhelming. But I don't want to lose it because I found it. And I don't want to lose it. And it means so much to me. And you have my heart too. All right. We are going to end it there. I almost don't want to end it there, but we're going to end it there because it feels really beautiful. And I just want to sit with this a moment. And I hope that you guys do too. Make sure that you stay tuned to Susan Dawn Ascension Connections for those sacred channelings coming up. Make sure that you stay tuned to my social media feeds and platforms for some more written updates and collective messages. I am sending all of you so much love and so much light, and I'll see you soon. Bye.